celebration of the Black Swan event. And it says here, this is the AI overview. And it says the Black Swan event is a rare, unpredictable occurrence and severe, widespread impacts that is often wrongly rationalized in hindsight as having been foreseeable. Popular, popular, popular rise by Nicholas. These events fall outside the scopes of normal expectation and extreme consequences such as 2008 financial crisis and the C19 pandemic. Going here at this picture, it says an unpredictable event that's beyond what's normal expected of a situation that has potential severe consequences. And by the way it's looking at, these damn devils, they're delaying it, which, which ultimately Yahweh by Shem Yahushua is in they're on Yehovah by Shem Yahushua's timing, but it seems like they're trying to delay this collapse, but this place is coming to an end. Edomites, they can feel it. Esau, Edom, they feel it, man. They feel that this kingdom isn't how it was back in 2016, back in 2020, man. They know something is up, man. They know that their government is not fully with them, man. It's only the two thirds, man. That they can't understand the times that we are living in, man. We're right here at the door of all hell breaking loose. We're right here at the door of Armageddon and the mark of the beast being implemented, and we still got the two thirds living like it's a 2002, man. But it's all written, but I guess homie Bennett, what's his name, Yahoo or something like that. I guess it seemed like nobody can find him and where he's at, which I really don't care. I don't give two shits about if he's alive or is he dead, because it's all just a stage, and I'm just at the point where they just gotta stop bullshitting and just come with it already, man. They've just been bullshitting for the longest, with this. So, they just gotta come with it, man. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has to, put fire to their bosom, man, for them to come along with it, man, because they've been taking a long ass time to do this, man, But again, Edomites are feeling it, man. You got some of our people that they're feeling like this is the end of the Esau's kingdom, which it is, man. Some people, they don't want to believe it, but everybody's gonna eventually have to believe it when chaos hits, man. When there's a collapse on the banking systems and you can't get your money out, when people are trying to find food, and the groceries and people are rioting, they can't get food from the stores, or the food from the fast food markets are running out, from fast food joints are running out, man. So people are gonna eventually have to live with the reality that's coming, and for them it's not gonna be a pleasant sight, man. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is coming for judgment on this wicked place, man, because this place is wicked. Think about it, brothers. From when we first before we even knew the truth into now and how far we've grown in this ministry. Just imagine how much evilness and wickedness that we have learned that we live under. We live in a demonic and evil world. And not even just that, it's promoted. In a very big way, and not just that, it's promoted. It's promoted upon our people, and it's promoted in these women, man. I mean, think about it. Most of these women, they do witchcraft without even realizing, without even being aware of them doing witchcraft, man. And most of these men are warlocks, man. They do warlock stuff, man. You know, so we live in a society of villains rolling over us, man. You know, we live in a society where the righteous is targeted by everyone in the society, man. But if Yahweh Bashem Yahushai wasn't on our side, man, we would have been wiped off. They would have hunted us down, and killed us off, man. You know, but that wasn't the story that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai set up, man. Because this world is just evil, man. If brothers really knew what demonic and evil spirits that are watching them in high places and physically, man, we'll go crazy, man. But knowing that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is in control of all that, we're under Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's protection, to put it short, man. Because we live in this society and it's just evil everywhere, man. It's like there's no good, man. You know, and even if you want to try to see the good in people and in things, man, this world is just so wicked to where it slowly eats away at your niceness, man. And brothers have been hardened in this thing, man. Because the shit that we had to go through with with foremost our parents, man, and our family, man. Treating some brothers like shit, and doing witchcraft, just being evil to brothers and sisters, man. I mean, to be honest, man, your family is your worst enemy if you know this truth, man. You know, and some brothers, they have good nurturing families. Other brothers, man, they have to go through shit with their family, man. And it made them who they are today, man. Brothers didn't grow up easy and living free and stuff, man. Not living free, but just getting everything easy, man. Brothers had to grind and get it from the dirt, man. And if you really look and see how these Edomites live, man, and how they raise their children, man. Think about how these Edomites and how they live, man, and look how acceptable and they're gonna be preyed upon when all hell breaks loose, man. Because they had an easy life, man. These Edomites and the children that they're raising, man, they haven't had no hardships whatsoever. And if they did, it wasn't as bad as how Jake had it, man. The two turds will be far off surviving, better fit for survival than these Edomites, man. They've been going out to eat every day with their family, getting new cars, vehicles, new trucks, getting generational wealth and applying under their dad's company and slowly building up and taking over their dad's and their grandfather's company, So these Edomites, man, they really had an easy life. They haven't had a hard life, man, and you can see it by just the way that they carry themselves, man. They're very prideful, man. You know, but when all hell breaks loose, man, all that pride, even with the two turds, man, it's gonna subside, man. You know, because the two turds, they'll be walking around and trying to mean mug you and try to act all tough, but once the troops are on the ground and bodies is dropping, that's when they wanna try to figure out what you know, and try to get guidance from you, man, you know. And for some brothers, they might have mercy, but other brothers, man, you know, this whole entire world, man, it hardens you, man. You know, it hardens you, man, because we've been through so much here, man. You know, and we've been living under these wicked ass people trying to do right. You know, and it's just it gets to the point to where, man, you know, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, he, you know, he's gonna everybody's gonna have to reap judgment, man. You know, reap what they sow, man. You know, and Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is a balanced power, man. You know, power. You know, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is coming back to judge, man. And a lot of people know this. You know, a lot of people know that what they've been doing that was evil, what they thought they was getting away with, you know, it's eventually about to come bite them in their ass, man, and they're feeling the heat slowly turning up, man. Even all the way up to the elites, man. They know that eventually that they're gonna get judged for ruling the earth in wickedness, man. They're not gonna get away with it, you know. And they know that, man. You know, that's why they're probably hiding in bunkers right now, you know. But a lot of witches and warlocks, you know, run around the earth, man. You know, you know, and not just that, you know, they're targeting, uh, especially us, man. You know, the you know, the Israelites, man. The ones in the knowing, man. The ones that knows the true names of Yahweh Bashim Rashai. We're the main target on the face of the earth, man. You know, we're the main target in the spiritual realm too, man. You know, because we're getting, you know, we're at that time, man. The shot clock is starting, man. You know, or it already has started, man. You know, and Esau know it too, man. That out of any criminal on the planet Earth, the Israelite man is the most sought after, man. You know, even these heathen nations, they seek after with Esau to do mischief unto us, man. You know, they're not exempt for the judgment that's coming upon them, man. You know, Moab. You know, you know, what's the other? What's the ones, man? Moab. It left my train of thought, man. But you know, the Chinese, the Japanese, man. You know, Ham. You know, even you got Ham looking down on us, man. You know, but this is how low that we have been brought in, man. And we've been brought so low. Yahweh Shemar has brought us so low. Just to prove a point, man, that we need him, man. We need our power to come back and deliver us, man. Because all these nations, man, they just look down on us. You know, they think that they're better than us. They think that we're like roaches and rats, man. You know, they don't see us as being profitable. You know, even though we built their whole entire system, and their system is based, the system is working from the backs of the Israelites, man, from the true Israelites, man. You know, that's how the system works, man. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushai gave this man not just power, man, but he gave him he basically gave him a blessing to keep his system up and going and working. Man. You know, just because the Israelites are being punished, man. You know, just because this is our captivity, man. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and we got in trouble with our people, man. You know, so the only reason why his system is going is because ultimately Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is keeping it up and going. But soon he's about to collapse again. You know, and just like how the Israelite man was brought down very low, we're gonna be exalted very high, man. You know, the ones that is part of the elect, man. You know, and that's the balance of things. So eventually we're gonna be exalted above everybody else, man. You know, soon come, man. You know, but you know, just it's just a rant, man. You know, this world is just filled with abominations, man. You know, and you know we have to deal in a society where where it's just wicked, man, and it's confusion on every place, man. You got trannies walking around. You got boys that are looking like women. You know, getting all types of injections and whatnot. You know, you got these elites. You know, being exposed for being pedos. You know, and whatnot. And child trafficking, but then they'll criticize a guy, you know, not really criticize, but they'll arrest a guy that has child porn on his phone or laptop, right? You know, which shows you how retarded the system is, and the system never really worked it in the first place, man. You know, the system was there put in place to protect the elites, man, ultimately, man. You know, but it goes to show you that this system is stupid, man. You know, we still got our women being prideful as all hell, man. You know, so it just get to a point to where you just want it to end already, man. You know, be away from these people, and then ultimately, man, we just want rest, man. The Israelite man, you know, that knows Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man, we just want to rest at the end of the day, man. You know, we're tired, you know, and it gets to a point to where you just get worn out, man. It's like you fight to get up for work, man. You know, because it's like, by us knowing that this is the end, it's like why even keep working, man? You know, to a point, to a certain degree, of course, we know we gotta work, but you know, it's like since we're at the last, man, it's like these demons and Satan, man. You know, it gets harder and harder, man. You know, and it just works on your mind, but at the end of the day, man, the Israelite man is just tired, man. We ready to go home. We ready to, you know, be in our own domain, man. You know, our own little spot. You know, resting, man. You know, brothers. You know, we wanna actually rest, man. On this side, we can't rest, man. We constantly are in trouble. You know, afflicted by the elements from our bodies, man. You know, afflicted by our families, you know, their situations and what's going on with them, afflicted by what we need to get done, bills and money, you know. So on this side, man, we're constantly worrying, you know, while the elites, they're trying to pull some shit together to get this MLTV up and going, man. While they got the masses worried about how I'm gonna pay my bills next month, how I'm gonna get food on the table for my kids, man. It shows you that the system is fucking is stupid, man. You know. I'm going to say this, man. The elite man, really, I'm tired. You know, sometimes you'll just hear our brothers, man. They'll be crying, you know, cause man, we've been through a lot, man. You know, and you'll hear them in the videos crying, man. And sometimes, I'm not a person that like cry a lot, but I'll have a few tears coming down my face because we understand their pain, man, and what the Israelite man had to go through on the side, man. You know, and not just that, we're not credited for anything. Out of anybody on our job, I can say this for myself and for other brothers, man, that we're hard-working people, man. And we don't get credit for nothing, man. We don't get credit for nothing, man. And the funny thing is, our people, the people that we work for, man, they'll rather have a nigga than a hard-working man. They'll rather have a nigga that doesn't do shit, that smokes weed behind the job, that comes undressed and pants sagging, and that can't control his emotions, man. They'll rather have a nigga than an Israelite man that's hard working, man. And that's way more intellectual, smarter than these two turds out here, man. And that's the sad truth about it, man. It shows you that this kingdom is wants Jake to be at a dumb and rebellious and what's that? Ignorant to the fact that to the point to where they can control them, man. And that's the society that we live in, man. They'll rather have Jake ignorant, dumb, and deaf, man, to the fact that they can control him, But once they see a man that can't get emotional or that can't be broken, man, they get offended, man. And ultimately, even our nation will fight against the Israelite man, because they feel some type of way, man. And they lose. An Israelite man walking around with his chest poked out and he's confident. Especially these Edomite men, man. Brother, when I get tired of these Edomite men, because most of these Edomite men, they're soft, man. The only thing that makes them strong is when they're in groups, man, and they think that they can pick on Jake, man, and that's been the same shit since slavery, man. Think about it, man. When Edomites went after Jake, they didn't go alone, man. They took a whole group for one Jake, man, and a whole bunch of dogs, man. That shows you that we're superior to them, man. And they know it. They know it deep down in their spirit, man. That's why they gotta group up on Jake, man. You think the police goes after one Jake? No, man. The police, man, they call for backup. They call for 3 or 4 more officers to pin Jake to the ground and then have that one officer beat him, man. And you just get tired of it, man. It gets old. It gets worn down. Seeing what goes on in this place, man, it's old, man. Every year it's the same thing. Every year it's the same holiday. Every year it's the same bullshit, man. It's like nothing changed. Everything stays stagnant, man. And it's frustrating to the point where we call out for Yahweh Bashim man. But I mean, what else can we do, man? We're stuck. We was put in this position for a reason, man. And it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong, man. Because we gotta wait on Yahweh Bashim but at the same time, you just want them to speed this thing up to get it going, man. They had their time to rule in wickedness, man. Now it's time for righteousness to be set forth on planet Earth, man. You know, but yeah, I just wanted to just bring that out, man, to get that off my spirit, man. It's frustrating. And Jake on this side, you can't even take out a frustration, man. A man that can't take out his frustration. What type of society is this, man? You know, think about it, man. You have grown ass men kind of in a way punk you, man. In society, man. You'll walk around and you'll get Jake will look at you all like what you gonna do, you just have men trying to not agitate, but trying to intimidate, man. And trying to test the waters, man. But you being more spiritual and not trying to just fight people, and just being more smarter than them. You're like, man, if you, because brothers, that's the thing, man. We know that, everybody want to call it lions and crash outs, but let's be honest. If it comes down to it, man, brothers will really do away with these jakes, man, over here, man. Brothers. I mean, shoot, we don't got nothing else to lose, man. And not to put brothers in that mindset, but just to put, just to make, to understand that, our frustration, man. We want to take out our frustration, man. This society has done away with our release of our frustration, man. And these men are so soft where they'll try to act tough in a society where you can be punished for putting your hands on people, man. This society punished Israelites, man, for being emotional, man. So you'll have like for example, which happened to me. You'll have Moab and what Elam. They'll try to punk you, man. And you're standing over Moab and Elam like 4 to 5 feet, man. And they'll try to punk you, but in the society you'll be punished for putting your hands up on them and releasing your frustration, man. Because Elam and Moab, they're prideful too, man. Esau and Edom, they gave them a little bit of money in their pocket and they driving a Tesla, man. Thinking that they're above you, man. And they'll say something or try to talk down, these nations, man, they think that they above everybody, man. But this is the punishment that we are in, man. That we are in, man. But by us being way smarter than them, man, we see through that, man. We see through that intimidation, man. We see through that pridefulness, man. Because behind the pridefulness is not really necessary self-worth, man, but it's flaunt. It's not, it's just it's a front, man. They just putting up a front, man. Because really it's uncertainty behind that pride, man. And we see through the bullshit on these women too, man. Brothers see straight through most of these women, man. Most of these women wants to be whores and sluts, man. They don't want a real man, They don't want a real man. I mean, think about it. Most of these women who says they want a real man, they don't even know what is a real man. They don't even dress in the attire of what a real man wants, man. They dressed in a whore and slut attire and try to get basically crave attention from these men that just wants to pop them and cater to them, man. They don't know what a real man is, man. We live in a society of immature people, man. You know, but soon come this Black Swan event, however that they push this in on TV. This is gonna, this is gonna, um, they're gonna have to face reality, man. You know, they're gonna have to face reality, man. And it's not gonna be a pleasant thing, man. It's gonna be some terrible times out here, man. And this stupid society is gonna be done away with, man. America, after they try to, after all hell breaks loose, man, America's never gonna be the same, man. And they're gonna have boots on the ground, man. However that this happens, man, Iran could attack, something could happen to where there's pocket bombs, you know, uh, hit around the city, man, and a mass casualty. Because let's be honest, when you're at war, man, there's gonna have to be casualties, man. And there's too many damn people on this damn planet Earth, man. And that's something that I agree with, man. Most of these people need to be done away with, man. These elites, they need to do away with most of these two turds and most of these people, man. Because there's too many damn people on this damn planet Earth, man. You know. Every time I leave my damn house, man, I'm stuck in traffic, man, because everybody wants to move, near me, man. These people are getting out of hand, man. And not just that, man. You got these stupid ass and feeble men and manipulative women out here, man. These men wants to please their wives, man, and their wives wants to move into the city, into the city where they can be seen, where they can be around all types of folly, man. That's all these women really want. They want to be seen. They want to be in the midst of every little scenery there is, man. You know, you know. Rarely you'll see women that wants to move to the country, man, and that wants to be away from all this shit, man. You know, and that's brother spirit, man. We would rather live in a damn country, away from people, man. We don't want to be around people 24/7, man. You know, but then you got these women, that has men catering to women, that has these men boosting their ego and whatnot, and whatever that they wives wanted to do or wants to do, whatever that makes them happy life, happy wife, man. And I've seen that with my grandfather, and I've seen that with many other men out here, man. And to be honest, that shit is to be honest, in the end, the men ends up being put down and being let down, man. Because the wife moves on, they get a divorce because the man wasn't catering to her emotional needs. Like, what the, just the other day, man, the Uber, I took an Uber, and the Uber was telling me, that he wasn't catering. He took therapy and he wasn't catering to his wife's needs, man, emotionally. So that's why they got a divorce, man. And one thing that pops into my head: these women are emotional. They really don't know what they want. So for you to cater to her needs all the time, it's like, man, we just gotta go, man. We gotta go. We gotta leave this shit behind, man. Leave the world behind, man. Brothers, we gotta be in a mindset to where we're just passing by, man. Sometimes you'll have a TikTok, messing with the algorithms, trying to make you feel some type of way. You remember what you used to do back then? You remember this? How use little algorithm videos to make you feel emotional from the things that you used to do, man. That you really enjoy. Maybe your hobbies, man, and where you went or what you did. That algorithm, man. It plays games with people's minds, man. And it really does. It really does affect the women's minds, because they're feeble, they're feeble, man, and they're emotional, man. So, you know, you could be having a good day with a woman, and then she gets on the damn internet, and she'll feel some type of way because a girl on the internet is getting attention or being catered to, and you're not doing it. And then she ends up leaving you, man. It shows you, man, once this system goes, man, it's gonna it's gonna be way better for the Israelite man. And I don't want to write too much, but I just wanted to bring that out, man. We gotta deal with a lot of shit on this side, man. We're just ready to go, man. I'm ready to be in, Yahweh Bashim Shah's will, man. To be in my bed, in my domain, peace and quiet, man. To get at least one good sleep, man. We hardly get any good sleep on this side, brother. So just to be in the kingdom and just to sleep, one time, man. Be in a new body, sleep one time, waking up, man. Not have to go to work, not being waking up out of your sleep by your alarm, man. It's gonna be a, we gonna barely think about this, man. It's gonna be a nightmare, but we gonna barely think about this, man. We just gonna know that this place was just our prison, and it was just hell, man. And shoot, it's gonna be good, man. We're gonna be set. We just gotta wait for these last few prophecies to hit, and we're gonna be good, man. But we're just waiting for a Black Swan event to hit, brothers. We know it's coming, foremost myself, man. I ask Yahweh by Shemel for forgiveness, for you need forgiveness. For myself and foremost, man, I need forgiveness. I'm not perfect, and I want to be saved, during these times that we are in, man. Because it's about to get hectic, man. We're about to be tested, man. But Yahweh by Shemel Shai got us, man. As the world goes, as the world decreases, we're gonna increase, man. And that's real, man. His power, Yahweh by Shemel Shai's balance, man. As the world was increasing, man, we was decreasing, man. Shoot, not too long ago, man. It felt like I had a bad, what in the world they call it, bad juju, But we know that it's just our punishment. But it was like, damn, man, every decision I made, it was like something bad happened, man. It was like back to back, what they call it, unluck, man. Bad luck, which is not bad luck. Which I knew it was ultimately from Yahweh Bashim, but it was like, dang, man. It's like one thing I did, it was like something messed up, something wasn't right. Another thing I did, it was like this broke down. It was bad, man. And sometimes, man, it be these witches and warlocks doing witchcraft on you, man. Which we live in a society that they'll do witchcraft on you without even knowing, That's how bad it is, man. This world is based on witchcraft and messing with dark spirits, man. I mean, think about it. Even our fast food has chemicals, man, and stuff in it, man. Pharmaceuticals, man. Even the music we listen to, which to be honest, man, we can't escape it, man, but we can limit it, and that goes for myself too, man. That goes for myself too. I'm not perfect, I need to do better, man. But it's like it gets to the point. It's like, damn, man, and I shouldn't be like that. But it's like, damn, everywhere I look, man, it's just wickedness, man. wickedness and evilness, man. You know. So shoot, man. Y'all Bashi I gotta get us up out of here, man. As soon as possible, man. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here. So I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not trying to rant too much. But we're here, man. We're at the end of this man's kingdom and his downfall, man. The Edomites, they know something big is about to happen. They know that the government that they sold and that they once trusted and loved has betrayed them, has turned their backs upon them now, you know. So they know that something major is about to happen. You know, it's just our stupid two turds, man. They don't know nothing, man. They want to stay here. They want to prolong their time in this kingdom, man. Which all we got from this kingdom is just hell, man. You know, we haven't gotten nothing good, man. The stuff that you thought was good wasn't good, man. You know, you end up coming to find out that it was bad or it was a darker meaning behind it or something. You know, this world is not made for Israelites, man. You know, Israelite man. You know, but the world to come is, man. You know, in righteousness, man. You know, something that this place don't uphold or keep, man. This place is do thy will, man. Do whatever that makes you feel good, man. You know, and how is see how society got, see how far society has got with that mindset, man, and witness all the evilness and wickedness that has grown from it, man. You know. So I just wanted to bring that up, man. We live in hell. You know, just keep praying and asking Yahweh Shai to